field. Or rather, on the Zoom link. Let me just share the data with you, Lula, and then you can send it out. That would be easy. Once you receive the data and you open it, one of you could kindly let me know so that we can kick off.
Ni kama hiyo email haina anything. Is there anything attached to it?
I see most of you have got the data. Uh, are you able to see my screen? Sorry. Is anyone able to see my screen?
No, I can't. I can't.
What about now? Okay, I keep sharing and it keeps dropping. Can you confirm, Alola, could you see if you've granted me rights to share my screen? Thank you. Okay. Mm. I don't know what's going on. I share my screen and it's okay. Allow me to leave the meeting and rejoin and see if there'll be any change. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Perfect. Apologies for that. So first we'll be working with the data cleaning data set. So this is just a small snippet of data that contains a couple of issues. So we'll be working through it. Since as you all know, most of the data that is collected in the field or that is received is usually not organized or it's not clean. So you'd need to perform a lot of data cleaning in order to manipulate or use your data. Yeah. So first of all, when you just skim through the data, we can see that we're not able to visualize what's in the data well. The first thing that we do is just to select our panel, our data sheet, sorry, and then okay, so I had a blank column in the middle, so I just deleted that. Then I select my column. So you could auto fit your you could auto fit your data. Just yeah. So we just expand and then we're able to see what's going on in our data and can also do this for our rows and columns. The shortcut is normally, I don't know if on your machine it's going to be control or command. So for me, it's just command out. Let's just use the inbuilt functionality. So we'll auto fit row height as well. Then we can also fit the column width. Yep. So this enabled us to just be able to have a better view of our data. So we have client kind of company data containing different contacts, the departments, the means of payment, revenue, what is the profit and the profit margins for the company. Yeah. So first things first, we'll just visualize whether our date column is in the date time format. Let's filter this. Let's filter our data so that you're able to just see this clearly. Perfect. So from this, we can see we have data for 2023 for different months. We also have different client data. So from this, we can just see in which columns we have null values or we have missing values. In this case, we have none for a few columns that are checked. But you can notice we have blanks for our payment. We have blanks for revenue. We have none for profit and some for profit margin. Yeah, we don't have blanks, but we have an error. So first things first, we've confirmed that our data is in the correct format, but we can see that our client's data contains unnecessary values, or it contains the TCA values for our data, which will not really be necessary. So we could decide to first clean up this and remove everything that comes after the brackets. Yeah. So we just insert a new column, then create a company column. Then we do we want to remove everything that comes after this. So what we simply do is we find and select. Yeah. So this functionality enables us to find and replace certain values in our data. So in this case, we find anything that comes that has a bracket, and then so that we can tell Excel that we want everything that comes after the bracket and then till the end of the bracket. We use the asterisk key. This kind of just tells it everything inside the bracket and anything with a bracket. Find it, and then sorry, I should find all. And then in our case, we'd like to replace it with nothing. Yeah. So we'd like to take this out. So we'll just leave this blank and then we'll just click replace all. So actually this is already done in the column. So there's no need for us to create a new column. Yep. Aside from this, you can see that our values are in caps, and maybe we would like to have this in lowercase. Yeah. So Excel has the functionality that enables us to just automatically make our data lowercase or uppercase. Yeah. So we do this by just using the formula lower. And then once you select the text, this happens automatically makes the data lowercase if you wanted to retain the uppercase, or if you had lowercase data and you wanted to convert it to upper, you just simply use the upper convention. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Then aside from this, we can see our contact data kind of isn't in a standardized convention. We have white spaces in between. We have some letters that are in caps, others that are in small letters. So we have a mix. Yeah. So we'd like to fix this before we perform our before we go any further. So for us to remove the white spaces, you could manually do this, but assuming you have a lot of data, it's more convenient for you to just use the formulas. And also when you use the formula, once you add more data on the selected panel, it just automatically flows. So if we just use the proper function, this will remove every middle and leading white space in our data. So in our case, let's see, sorry, the proper functionality will remove the mix in the values, the mix in the text data. So we had a mix of caps and small letters. So the proper values titles the first and the first value and anything that's after our white space. So for us to remove white spaces, we use the trim functionality. Yeah, so this will remove the leading and lagging white spaces. And then if we'd want to also have it in the proper format, so we can have a formula inside another formula. Yeah. So we trim first and then proper, we have our text. So this enables us to just perform both functionalities at a go. You could just simply double click and carry this down in our entire data. Aside from this, you can note that our department data has what department the is in the company, as well as the location. Yeah? So we want to separate this information such that we have the department separate and the location also separate, so that it's easier for analysis. Yeah. So we'd simply do this. Let's add colleagues location. So in Excel, there's convention that easily enables us to split the data using different delimiters. So in our data panel, you'll see the text two columns data. Yeah. This enables us to manipulate text data using different conventions. So we have the delimited and the fixed width. So the delimited enables us to split the data using different delimiters to infer colon, semicolon, commas, and all the other punctuations that are used to separate data. And then the fixed width enables us to align the data or split the data using a fixed number of values. So say you want to separate the first two values, the fixed width option will enable you to do this. Yeah. So we've selected the delimited function, and then would like to split the data using the underscore. So anything that comes after the underscore will be split into a separate category. And then after this, we now specify what format we'd like our data in. So we'll just stick with general, and then we specify the destination of our data. Yeah. So in this case, we have this section. Then just simply finish. Okay. So since we are splitting it into two values, we need to specify two sections that we want to fill the data with. So I'll just replicate what we did before. And then I'd select two sections. Okay. Select the entire column. I have to first select the entire spreadsheet. Then okay, perfect. So we've been able to just iterate this over every row in our data set. So we've now completed our MOV text data cleanup, the basic cleaning up of text data. Yeah. So aside from this, now we have our payments section, which contains the means of payment. Yeah. So we'd like an instance where when we have a missing value, it specifies that we have other, yeah, instead of having blanks in our data. We could alternatively just delete the sections with missing data, but with lack or information that might be crucial for our analysis. The easiest way is just to fill in the data or the missing values. Yeah. You could manually do this for each case. You could also decide to find the missing values. We could decide to find the missing values and then replace them with a certain convention. So we find missing values. And then we'd replace with other. On 80. I need to specify which section. So let's redo this.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Sorry. I was just wondering, okay, personally, I can't see any of the pop-ups on your screen, so it's a bit hard to follow.
Uh,
I don't know, maybe could you share your entire screen instead?
okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you.
no. Oh, I don't have the option to share my entire screen. I can only share. Oh, there we go. Okay. See, can you now see the pop-up?
Yeah, I can see it now. Thank you.
Okay. So we'd go to the find, would and select section, then go special. Then in this section, you can select different types of, or you could select the convention that you'd like to find your data. So you could find nodes, you could find constants, formulas. In our case, we'd like to find blanks. Yeah. So we just select that. Then you can see we have blank values at the bottom and blank values at the top. Yeah. So we just let's do this again. We'd want to control enter instead of enter, because when you just enter, it kind of reverts back. So if I say, what's my formula? Okay, this convention. Um, and it replace the blanks with other. Yeah. So in our case, we've replaced every blank value with other in our data, yeah, in our section. And since we had selected also the top section, it's also capturing this, so we could just simply delete that. Yeah. So you'll just find and select, go special, select the blanks, and then replace the blanks with whatever convention you'd prefer. Yeah. Also for the revenue, you can note that first of all, the revenue is in a custom format. So we could just select this and change the formatting to currency. So we just simply change this to currency, remove the, okay, we could stick with 2 decimal places since we have our revenue in also in cents. And we'd like to now take care of the missing values. Yeah. So we could find the missing values and replace them with 0. Alternatively, we can delete these sections depending on what convention convention works for you. So we'll just replicate what we did before. So we'd go special and fill in our blank. You could also, in the cases where you have missing values in your entire data, the easiest way is to sort your data. Once you sort your data, all the blank values shift to the bottom, and you could just as easily delete them. I replace. So we completed this. Then note that our margin, our profit margin calculation contains an error since we're dividing a value with 0. Yeah. So every time you kind of have the convention where you're dividing your value by 0, it will give you a div error since it does not recognize the convention. Or if you use a text value, it will output an error. So we could alternatively replace this with 0, but we could take care of these errors in our formula using the if error function, and then specify a criteria once we get an error. So we would just replace this section and add our if error function. Yeah. So if error. So what value would we like to output if we get an error? Then we could just simply, in our case, every instance that has had an error, we replaced it with 0. Yeah. So the kind of next logical step would be to delete the sections that we've already cleaned up and then replace, have just the fixed column. Yeah. But note that since we're using formulas, when you delete the column or you delete the row without taking this into account, you'd get a referencing error. So if I just delete this, I'd have reference errors since we are referencing to values that are not contained in the data. Yeah. So to take care of this, you'd have to copy the values that you've created and then paste them as values in another sheet or in the same section. Then this would take care of this. Yeah. So if I select, this and I copy it and I decide to have the same section. So I'd use the paste special and we just paste the values. You could keep the number formatting, but since you're not working with numbers, we'll just paste the values and we'd have the cleaned data here. So we could take this out. Also, since we're using the lower convention, we could do the same here. Just paste the value. So we've cleaned text data. We've replaced errors. So you might have instances, I don't know if this is the case in my data, you might have instances where you have duplicates. Question or just an animated mic? Okay. Wisdom, kindly mute your mic.
Oops.
Okay. Thank you. So when we just skim through our data, we can see we have Goldman Sachs twice, and it has the same contact. We also have McDonald's, I think, twice here, and the contact person is the same. So we want a case where we just remove the duplicates and retain whatever values is there. So this is made very, very simple in Excel. So we'll just select our entire data. And in the data section, you have an option to toggle here to remove duplicates. Yeah. So once you just click this, you can now select the criteria that you want to remove the duplicates with. So with remove duplicates, where we can see the company and the contacts are the same. Then this will tell you how many duplicate values were found, and now we retain the unique values. Till the are we at par? Okay. And since the
Excuse.
yes,
I have a question on the department column where you separated the department and the location. Could you kindly repeat how you did that? Because we couldn't see your screen. Just
okay,
briefly,
like,
can run through it.
yeah, yes, I can. Okay, so let's just fix this. So the convention for separating values is we just use select a section that you want to separate, and then on the data panel there's a ribbon for the second ribbon. You have the option to for text to column. So this enables you to separate the values using either a delimiter or the fixed width. So as I mentioned, the delimiters uses special characters, and then the fixed width given a convention of maybe the number of columns or the number of values that you want to separate with them. Then next, there are kind of preset areas that you can select. So you can use a tab, semicolon, colon, comma, space. You could also use use quotation single or double quotes or none. So in our case, we specify that we're doing this using the underscore value, and then just go to next. And then you can see how the data is split. So you can see it splits the CloudTech and the Texas values. Then you select the section that you want to output your data, and also you can select the type that you want, the data format of the data type. So you could pick general text, date, time, and other conventions. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and then you just select the section. So in our case, we'd select both these sections since we're doing a split. And then that's just it. Is that okay?
Yes, understood.
Okay. So if there's no other question, I think we can shift now to our other data set, which is larger data, and that would enable us to perform more analysis and use better conventions for cleaning our data. Yeah. So just save this, and then we'd open our SuperStore data. Okay. So give a second to okay. So the next data that we have is data for a specific store, which specifies different orders that are being made. I'm assuming this is an online store because I'm seeing the shipping mode and shipping dates, different conventions. Yeah. So we'd like to clean this data and then we'll perform further analysis. Yeah. So when you have data in this format and you have a lot of data, it's easier to clean data in terms of a data table rather than having it as just a simple cells. Yeah. So we just select our entire data set and then fit a table for our data. Yeah. So we'll just Control A to select our entire data, and then the shortcut to assign a table is also Control T or Command T, depending on your operating system. And then we just okay. So this will now fit a table for your entire data, and then it will have kind of a specific format, so that we can easily visualize. We change the formatting in our data. We could have like that. Yeah. So first things first, we fit our data so that you can be able to see everything. So we just change the format and auto fit height and also auto fit the width. Yep. So now we're able to see all the values inside our data. We'd also like to now so when you have your data, you could also name your data so that instead of manually now selecting each the column or the section that you want to, you could reference a specific table. So at the top left, you'll note that there's the section for table name. So you could just easily change the table name here, and then we'll call this sales data. Let's just call it sales. And that's just it. So anytime we want to reference to this table or any value inside our table, it will be just as simple as calling the sales table rather than now going back and picking the columns. Yeah. We can see that our data is such a wide range. So instinctively, we'd like to see that all the values inside our data is in the correct format, so that we don't run into errors when we perform analysis. So the first thing would be now to check if the date is in the correct format. And we can see that's the case. We can see also the shipping date is in the right format. Okay, you can have the shipping mode as general, the customer ID, the customer name, the segment. You can see that our postal codes are in the general format. So we'd like to change this into, we could decide to change this into the number format, but since we wouldn't actually be using it to perform a lot of analysis, you could also choose to retain it as such. So I'm just going to leave it as that. And then just check the region and all the values in our data. Then you can see our sales data, all this data that is meant to be numerical or in terms of currency is just in the general format. So we can just select this and change the data format to numerical. And yeah, that it's easier for us to perform analysis. So the next thing is now to clean our data. So we check for missing values, check for duplicates, then proceed from there. So we'll just select our entire data, and as simply as we had done before, we just remove our duplicate values. Okay, first let's kind of skim through our data. So we see that you can have the same customer ordering different items at a go. Yeah. So if we use the convention for the customer name, we'd end up removing valuable data. So it would be more prudent to use the product name, since we're assuming if they bought the same product, the quantity would be adjusted, and then it would not be duplicated. Yeah. So we'd remove the values using remove duplicates using the products name. So we just specify here. And there were this many duplicates. Okay. So now we create it. But that's how we check for missing values. So let's just find all instances that are missing. Cannot find. So there's no missing value in our data, so we could just proceed. Since we already have our calculated panel, have sales, quantity, discount, and profit, there's really no further calculation that we need to perform. And now we can now start to analyze our data and visualize. Yeah. So before we continue, it's normally a good convention for you to retain a copy of your original data and then have another sheet with the audited or the cleaned data, such that if ever you perform something or you delete a row or a column that you really did not need to delete, you could go back and clean and revert to your initial data set. Yeah. Although we didn't do this, it's just good convention to do so. Yeah. Okay. So after this, we can now start performing analysis on our data. So we could maybe get what is the descriptive, basic descriptive statistics, what is the total profit, what is the total sales, on convention by offering discounts, how much do we lose. Okay, so let's assume that this discount value is for one item, and we'd like to see what is the total discount that is going to be offered. Yeah. So we just add another column, and then let's name this total discount. So which will just simply be our discount value multiplied by the quantity. And the beauty of using tables is once you create a formula for one value, it just automatically drags this down for your entire table. So you don't have to manually correct this. And also once you add values inside your table, this will also be automatically edited. Okay. So now let's create, uh, a- let's move to another data sheet so that we can be able to see our data. So assume we'd like to, since we're operating on in different states and different cities, would like to now group with the revenue or our sales in different cities and see this. Yeah. So first, so let's start with this states. Yeah. So the easiest way to create tables of your data is using pivot tables, which enable you to just easily select the features that you want to look at. So if you have, you just go to the insert section, and then you'd select pivot tables, and then you'd specify the table that you want to work with. Since we had named our table sales, we'll just easily type this as sales, and then would select that we want to have this in our existing worksheet. So once you click this, you'd have now the table section, and then you'd have the kind of card that enables you to select the fields that you want to incorporate in your table. So for our case, we'd like to see let's start with states. So we'd like to have a unique state value. So you see this has gone to the value. So we just drag this to our rows section. Then this would show us the unique states in our data set. And then we'd like to visualize what is the revenue from each state. So we just simply select sales, and then you can see we have the sum of sales for our different states. So let's rename this section as states. And then we'd have also our grand total, this section. So also let's change this. And we can easily see it. Okay, then let's change, since we are in the States, let's change our currency to dollars. Okay, perfect. And then we can see we have just the sum of sales for each section. We could edit this so that it makes more sense to have the average sales in the state rather than just the sum of sales. Or rather, we could have both, but the convention, it's just better to stick with one. So we could the pivot table, and then we create okay. So we just click the information icon, and then we could change this to average. Then we can see now we have the average sales per state. Yeah. Then we could want to visualize which state has the highest, in which state we have the highest sales, sorry. So we just perform a simple sort, and then we can let's add a filter. can sort from smallest, largest to smallest. Okay. Um, first- oh yeah, we can choose sort by average sales and then use descending. So here we see the average sales per state. And then we can see that Montana has the highest number of sales. Then we have Vermont having the lowest number of sales. We could also see what is the profit that we get from each state. So what is the average profit from each state? So we just simply return to our pivot field and then select profit. Then we'd have average instead of sum. And we have that simply. Yeah. Then we could decide to sort this out using the profit. So you see, we still have the highest profit from Montana, and now we see the profit from North Carolina is in the negative, actually making losses in this section. Yeah. So we can decide to plot our sales and just have a bar chart that shows us the average. Let's use this city. Hopefully we have the city values are less so that we have a less crowded chart. No. Okay, let's stick to the states. So we just select our table. Pivot chart. Then this automatically fits the best chart for our data. Yeah. So this is, however, showing since we selected the entire data, it's showing both the average sales and average profit as bar charts for each state. Then since we have negative values, you can see the chart is now, we have like inverse values. Yeah. So we can just delete this and then create a better looking chart. So let's use our sales first. We just do a chart. Does not allow us. Let's see if we can customize and format the chart instead. Select switch column, change the chart type. So we just then remove. I'm unable to make edits. It seems that once you create a chart using the pivot table, you're not able to manually edit the chart like we can do on the normal charts in or normal graphs on Excel. Let's design and format this chart so that we can have it. Yeah. So we can now design the chart. You could change the layout of the chart. So you could have a chart title, which is normally very important. You could customize this. Let's just take this out. Yeah. So we just removed the field so that we just have the revenue. There's really no need for the legend, so we just move that. But I don't know. Then this chart is more of a histogram. So let's change this. The bar graph without a legend. Okay, I could just manually take this out. Then I could fit the title. So we have the average sales. States. Then it's normally a good convention to also have axis labels. So we have the axis titles. So here we'd see the states. Then we'd add also the sales. You could go ahead and also edit the layout of your chart. You could change the color of your chart. You could change the kind of formatting in your chart using the panels at the top. Yeah. You could also have so many options. You could change here you could select whether you want a legend or not. You could create error bars, grid lines. You could also fit a trend line on your data. Let's see. Since you can see our data is not linear. Yeah. So we just added a moving average curve, and let's change the color so that we can be able to visualize this. Let's have maybe this. A happier color. Okay, I'll stick with the red. To have different colors. onto the panel to format the color. We could have a simple chart here, and then we could now also have we can now want to see which is the frequently used shipping mode, so that we can decide where do we focus maybe our marketing on. And then we could also see which segment of our sales, which sections of sales are coming from. So are they coming from just basic consumers, or homes, or corporates? And then we could also decide that we want to see which category of which category of uh, items has the highest sales, or where do we get the highest profit from. So we would just still use our pivot tables. So let's just remove this. Okay. So in another section, let's have another Excel sheet. Then it's just similarly to what we did before. We'd add a pivot table on our sales data. First, let's see the shipping mode. Let's have our shipping mode. Then let's just have a basic count of let's add a field. Okay. So we'd need to create a formula for this, since we're referencing to the same section. So we'd now add a field. On your ribbon, you'd see the field items at set. Then you'd select calculated field. Then now let's choose what you want to name our field. Let's say the count. If this makes sense. Okay, then we'd select the formula. Let's see. Insert field. What is the name? Yeah. This is not working as I thought. Let's just out and okay. Let's remove this and add So let's first create a basic sheet that will count each of these. So let's have shipping. The shipping mode. Then let's have a number of customers. Then we could just basically use the unique function to get the unique values in our sales data. So since we've already named our data sales, once I just type sales, I'm able to get the sales values. Then when I put the brackets, I'm able to pick which column I'd like to work on. So I just select the shipping mode. And then, yeah, that's just it. So I have the unique shipping mode. Then I could say count if that we can get the number of we could get the number of customers using each shipping. So it just simply count the shipping mode if it's second class. Then you just have this for all. Yeah. And we can see that the standard class is the highest used, followed by the second class. But let's just simply sort this. So let's choose the number of customers and let's have just the smallest. Let's change automatically. Let's sort. Okay, I do not understand what's going on. I'm assuming this is I'm assuming this error is because we use the unique function and we have a still error in our data. So let's use a different convention for formatting. So let's use conditional formatting. Then let's select the top. Actually, let's have it sorted in different colors. Let's have the number of customers. Let's visualize this. Let's add another section here. Let's just add it here. You can add data bars. That's the wrong section. Yeah. let's first have let's look at the files setup. So we see the standard is the highest. Let's have data bus and have and let's duplicate this so that we can just easily just the values. Okay. And use this data bus. So this is just a simple way to visualize your data instead of having an entire chart when we have very few values. You could just simply use the data bus to visualize your data. And then we could choose to remove the values. Show bar only. So here we can just see, we can just visually see that our standard class is the highest, followed by the second class. Then the lowest is the same day delivery. Also, we'd like to see what else. Let's see which category gives us the highest profit. So we could perform an analysis and have, okay, let's just add another table. I hope you can follow my time. If I lost you anywhere, please feel free to say so. Just to confirm I'm not speaking to myself. Okay. So we select the different categories that we want. Then we'd have the profit. Okay. And we could just clearly see that we're making losses from furniture and the average profit from sales is 25, from technology is just 66. So maybe you'd want to now have a broader look into our data, but I have to set this out as a task for you guys to attempt. But other than this, we would want maybe to now visualize our entire data set and just see what is the profit margin per the profit per, yeah. Yeah. We have the order. So we could decide to see what is the profit margin per year. Password, yeah. So you can see that our data is in terms of dates. And when we visualize this, the data will not be grouped in terms of, it will speak each specific date as a data point, yeah? But we want to perform the entire analysis on just the yearly data. So we can create a new column and just call this the year. And we'd extract the years from our dates using the year function. So there are three functions. You can either you can pick out the day, the month, or the year. So each of them is just, as the name suggests, equals to year, equals to month, equals to day. And then you select the section that you want to see. And you can see now we just have our years output here. Yep. And then let's see what is the trend in terms of profit instead of this. Let's get the profit margin rather than just working with the profit, right? How to get the profit margin? I'll just take what's the profit over the sales. Then let's make this entire section percentage. So we can see let's visualize and see how much we made, what is the profit margin each year. So we can just do this. Okay. Let's just use the same sheet, so it's easier to select. So we'd select the columns that we want to use. So in our case, we're using the profit margin and we're also using the year. And then on the insert section, you could just pick a chart. Yeah. Then Excel just gives you a list of recommended charts. But in our case, we don't get any charts. First of all, let me change this format to the correct format. Okay. So since we're looking at the profit margin, let's use a line chart. Oh no, can use a bar graph. Because let's store this into the number format. So the best chart that was selected was a Pareto chart. Then we could now just edit. So we can be able to see this. Could change the chart name and have this as the profit margin. And then we could add axes. I hope we're at par. Are we? Have I lost anyone? I want this in 2 sections. Okay, perfect. And then we could also it would have been easier to just have the pivot table. So let's replicate the same and have what is the yearly profit margins and then create a table. So we'll first create a table for the oh, yeah. Okay. I'm not able to, rather my machine. Okay, let's try this again. Hmm. Yeah. So now we have our ears as our rows. Then we have our profit margin. Let's use the average. Then select this. Option to remove. And I might just do this manually. Okay, let's select the section. Let's rename this here. Average profit margin is fine. Select our data. Then let's insert a chart. Okay, so created a previous chart. Then let's remove this. Let's change our title. Name this. And the beauty of this is that since we're using pivot tables, we can add a slicer to our data and be able to visualize different sections. So let's add category. And you can add our slicer here. Let's format this. Yeah. So if I choose at the base level, you'd have your entire profit margin. Then if I pick furniture, you see that the profit margin adjusts given the section that you've selected. Tilda, are there any questions before we proceed? Check the chart. Okay. Are there any questions? Okay. Lastly, I think we could create a dashboard just to represent all our data and then try to see all our findings inside this. But before that, I think it's worth mentioning that we do have we can perform descriptive analysis on our data. Let's select the section to say you want our sales and have data. And then in our data section, you have the analysis tools. So we just pick our analysis tool pack. And then here we could select from a wide range of things to do. You could do a correlation analysis. You could have now more statistical analysis. You could have a regression, and there are also the statistical analysis, but we just want simple descriptive statistics. So we just select OK. And then we select our range. So let's have okay. Let's see. Sales. Let me do this. Uh, yeah. Then group by columns. We could do first row. And then let's, okay, let's just select a new worksheet. Let's select a output range. Yeah. Might get a spill though, since the section is too small. At least one. Or you have to pick one statistical test. So let's pick the summary statistics. And this will just take a minute. Okay. In the meantime, are there any questions? Is there anything that you'd like me to repeat? Okay. This will take a minute since we have a pretty large data set, hoping that my Excel won't crash. Yeah. But alternatively, you could go the route of what we did the last class. So you could just have a section for the mean, median, range, and then automatically manually calculate this. So you just have the different formulas equals average, and then get the average sales. And then since we are using a table, you really don't need to now scroll through the entire section. So you could just select the sales table and then pick the column that you want to look at and perform the analysis. Maybe you could attempt this on your end as we pick up pause to let this work itself out. You guys are quite quiet. It's the silence because things are just flowing, or you need any assistance. Okay, in the meantime, I could address the questions that were asked in the previous class. Yeah. So for the guys that don't have the, oh, perfect. Who don't have the unique function in the on the Excel spreadsheet, you could just simply output the column that you want and then remove duplicates. This will leave you with the unique values. And then for the lookup functions, if you are missing X lookup since you're using an older version of Excel, you could still use VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP is a vertical lookup, so it will look through your data column-wise, and then HLOOKUP is a horizontal lookup function that will skim through your data in terms of rows. Yeah. So you can see here, we just have a simple table with all the descriptive statistics for each column that we specified. So we have the mean, sales, the standard error, the median, the mode, standard deviation, sample variance, everything is just summed up into a neat section. Yeah. So we could actually make this a table. Then maybe summary stats. You cannot have Excel does not recognize spaces when you're naming your data, so you have to put an underscore in between your spaces. And then maybe let's format this. Let's see what we can replace the table. I cannot overlap tables. So let's pick another section. Let's just select a new worksheet. So this will enable us to create a pivot table for our data. But this is kind of a repetition, so we could just delete the sheet and then customize this from here. How is this? Okay, I'd have to rename them. Okay, that's how actually it has done so. And let's take out the unnecessary data. Let's remove cannot remove duplicates row-wise. So you just clean this up. In the interest of time, I'd leave this because it's just simply deleting this. I'd like us to attempt to create a dashboard. So I won't go into the aesthetic of it. So the last thing that we could do on Excel is create a simple dashboards or simple reports that aggregate our data. So you could do this by just creating pivots tables and then aggregating your different charts on one Excel sheet. This is common convention for guys who use a lot of Excel, but there's also the option of using Power BI. But you'd find maybe for guys on the Mac operating system, they don't have access to Power BI. So you could simply just create your templates on Excel. Then also, if you don't have a lot of data, you could just stick to Excel. Also, maybe for comfort purposes, if you find Excel more efficient to work with, you could choose to use Excel to visualize your data. Yeah, I'm seeing time is up. So could I create a task and then you guys create a dashboard as a take-home assignment, or could we have maybe 5 minutes so that we do this together? Asking for your input on which you prefer. Anyone? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Would you guys prefer that you guys go and attempt this? Because I also understand that this is quite a bit to unpack in one sitting. So would you prefer that we maybe do this here, or I could just give you the data set and then you try it out as you also learn the other functionalities that we've discussed today? Uh, Basically, just a layout. By creating a dashboard, you just group your graphs into one Excel sheet, maybe add slicers. This is why pivots data is really important, or using pivot tables is really efficient. So you just put this up in one Excel sheet and then have maybe a compiled version of all your graphs. And also just to mention, this is just a teaser on Excel. Excel has quite a bit of functionality that even if we had a week, I could not go through everything. So it would be more efficient for you to just dive deeper. aside from that, I think one of the most efficient ways to clean your data and to work with data is the Power Query, which is just here on your data section. It will enable you to replicate this, especially when you have really large data from different Excel files. It enables you to clean your data and merge your data very fast. If you're using the Mac operating system, you might not be able to access this functionality since it's not available for Mac users. So it's available for Windows, maybe Linux and Ubuntu. Guys can use this. So you could check that out. Also, it's worth mentioning when there's a lot of formulas for finance, and uh, so you could look into those formulas as well. Also, the data analysis toolpack enables you to perform a lot of functionalities. So you could have the data analysis and the solver add-in, and also the what if analysis if you're in a situation where you're using different scenarios. This enables you to efficiently manage your scenarios. And last but not least, as we close, um, you might find that there are different data packs that are specific to the analysis you want to perform, that are specific to your job. So you could easily just go to the files section, the Excel, right? Do this first. So on Excel, you can add in different formulas or packages, if I may say. So you might find that your Excel does not have a solver. This is because you need to upload it onto your machine. I'd like to stop there. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take them. I will share the Excel files. Yes, I'll share the different Excel files that we've worked on, and then I'll attempt to do a simple dashboard just for reference in case you're interested. And yes, that's all. If we can stop there. I don't know if there are any questions. Okay, sure. Lola will be sharing the. Okay. We'll be sharing the recordings. I think it's on your learning platform, if I'm not wrong. Are there any questions? Okay. If there's none, I think we can stop there. I'll stay for like the next maybe 5 minutes in case you have any specific questions relating to your work environment, but until that's all, yeah, we can work